Utie oha echi ponkno. Needs FM.
On energy. Good morning, Honorable, and thanks for your time this morning on NEET FM.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
How are you?
And good morning to our cherished and lovely listeners. I'm struggling within the economic situation, faring by the grace of God.
The grace is very important. Now, first off, let me just find out from you what you make of the electricity tariff increment.
Yeah, thank you very much. As minority, we always look circumstances surrounding any decision government takes and analyze it as per that circumstances. And before I could come to this, you realize that in 2018, there was a reduction in electricity tariff. And it did indicate that this will affect the power plants and agencies. And it has reflected. Because at that time, the fuel cost and all those things were factored in, and the minority took that decision. We have indicated that by 2018 December, Electricity Company of Ghana that made a profit of 725 million Ghana cedis in 2017 made a loss of 2 billion as at the end of 2018. Gridco that made a profit of 69 million Ghana cedis in 2016 made a loss of 118 million in Ghana cedis in 2018. So our stand by then had been vindicated by the performance of these agencies. Two, the accumulation of debt by the agencies under Nana Akufo-Addo is more than the legacy debt from 1992 to 2016. Because from 1992 to 2016, an accumulation of $2.4 billion debt was accrued. From January 2017 to date, over $2.4 billion debt had been accrued. So our stand then was vindicated. And we realized that cost of fuel was one of the key factors. Now, in 2019, we kicked against the reduction, the increase of 11.14%, based on certain critical factors and decisions by this government.
Is that a figure you gave?
Yes, 11.17% tariff increment this year. That has just been announced.
Is that a prediction? Because, I mean, there are some report that says that you predicted it's like 60% increase.
Hello?
Yes, Honorable.
I'm giving you certain factors. I said our criticism is based on certain conditions. Are you with me?
I am with you. I'm listening.
Yes. And that is why I'm saying that when the reduction was made in 2018, we criticized it and said that the utilities and accumulation of debt will rise.
Mm-hmm.
And truly it has risen. And that's why I gave the profit in 2016, losses of the agencies in 2018. And I'm saying that the current increase, we kicked against it and said there shouldn't have been an increase based on certain conditions and factors. For example, in the 2019 budget, government is writing off revenue to the tune of $181 million of gas revenue. That is about 927 million Ghana cedis that this power plant will consume and pay to government so that it will get this money, use it to build hospitals, construct roads, put up health centers. The government said Parliament should approve it so that it will be free of charge. They won't recognize it as revenue. That means the power plants will be consuming gas free of charge, especially Ghana gas, free of charge. And we all know that gas constitutes about 90% of the recurrent expenditure of this power plant. So government is denying Ghanaians the revenue that will be used to put infrastructure. to subsidize gas. They must benefit the reduction completely. 2, government through GNPC is asking us to approve $220 million. That is 1.13 billion Ghana cedis to pay for the ENI gas. But the ENI gas will not pay it. We'll use our royal revenue to pay for the 220. So that means the revenue that could be used to put up roads for Ghanaians to benefit, you are using it to pay for gas to be consumed at the ENI field free of charge. You cannot deny Ghanaians infrastructure by using it to pay for gas that will be consumed free. At the same time, you ask them to pay more. That is unfair. So if you consider this government, the circumstances now, government is using our oil revenue to the tune of 2 billion Ghana cedis to pay for cost of gas so that the power plants consume the gas free of charge. If you factor this in, you realize that we didn't need to increase tariffs. Vis-a-vis 2018, this gas were paid for. 2019, we are not paying for the gas. So there was no need for any increase. Now they talk of exchange rate losses that is arising out of it. We think that as Ghanaians, any incompetence executed by any government should not be transferred on the poor Ghanaians. Did we contribute in the management of the economy that has led to the depreciation of it? Bawumia, Vice President, promises that when he comes to power, he will arrest the city and lock it up. He didn't say Ghanaians will arrest you, that when he is given the power, he will arrest and lock it up. The city is a fugitive now. And I say because of that, liability is arising, forex losses. Now, Bawumia wants Ghanaians to pay for it. They must take responsibility for the city loss and take care of the liabilities and not be passed on to Ghanaians. And so there are reasons for the increment to 11.17%. It's not justifiable. Looking at what we are giving out in terms of the gas, we think that it is not justifiable. And that is a rational human being.
So you think that the government shouldn't have increased the tariffs? It shouldn't have gone up?
Shouldn't have increased. Because
but this is contrary to what you've been saying all along, Honorable. This is contrary to that. I mean, you started from January, as far back as January, saying that the electricity cost will rise. So what are you saying now that you told Ghana?
Excuse me. When I said that, there was no issue of 2 billion of our oil revenue that will be used to pay for the gas. There was no issue about that. So assuming the government had not written off 2 billion of our oil revenue to be paid for the gas, my stance still holds. But I'm a rational human being that if I say something today and tomorrow government takes the decision that, okay, the oil revenue of 2 billion Ghana cedis will receive, we will not recognize it, we use it, we'll write it off so that the gas will be consumed free. And I still stand by my point. I will not factor it in the tariff.
When did this position change? Please, I just want to know, when did this position, this 2 billion that came in, that changed your position, when exactly did it change?
One, just last 2 months, that they brought the $220 billion facility.
Mm-hmm.
Just last 2 months.
Okay.
That was in February, April.
Mm-hmm.
That this $220 million, that is about 1.13 billion, came to Parliament.
Okay.
So that was informed my decision as to how I should go about it.
Mm.
Are you getting my point?
Yeah, I'm following.
So I will not relate that, in January, I said, we expect an increment. And government, in the course of that, bring in these inputs for the gas to be free. Because when I made that statement, it was based on the fact that the gas will not be free. And that is what a rational being must do.
Honorable, did you tell?
Now that I know that,
mm-hmm.
now that government after some months took a decision that the gas should be free, it is my responsibility to review and see the impact. That is it.
And did you tell us the changing position when this money came in? Did you tell us that, okay, fine, you've revised your position and that, well, we're not going to have an increment now? You think that since this money has been in, the government should reduce it?
You said what?
Did you revise the position that you hold? I mean, when the money came in?
When it came up, we said that we are going to lose revenue, our oil revenue, because we are going to take this money to pay for the gas. Especially when it appeared before the committee. Are you getting my point? Because it came to the committee. So we expect no increment in tariff. Yes. Even, do you know what they will be using to pay for the loan? Our oil royalties. So at the committee, even the way they formatted it, we had challenges because it has not been budgeted for. They have to go and reform it. So we made it clear to them that with all these things you are now coming up, we expect no increment in tariffs. So when you are analyzing our position, analyze it based on changes of conditions. We are not robots that once I made it a factory in the cost of fuel, then government now use our own money to pay for the fuel, deny us project. I should still come and state my position. No. I must factor it in my next decision. And that is very critical.
Well, fair enough. So anybody listening will now have to understand why maybe find if the people think that there's been a U-turn from the minority, then it's because of the change in the financial position, the new money that came in. That is why you've revised the position. Well,
yes, we always have a scenario. We factor in arriving tariffs. It's not only government. We also have our own way of working it out. And if we factor in the cost of fuel, about 2 billion, let's say 2 billion in, this will be the cost of fuel in arriving at the tariff. Then in the following month, government comes in and write off the fuel component. You expect it to also revise the tariff. We shouldn't just done, even though our initial calculation include cost of fuel. Now cost of fuel is zero. Then we still stand by our. Then we are like robots. We don't know what we are doing.
Okay.
And circumstances change. We must revise whatever we're doing. We are not like them. When we brought in Excella, they said when they come, they will remove it. And when they came, they refused. When circumstances hasn't changed, we are not like them. When we say from taxation to production, and now when they come to power, it is still taxation. They haven't moved to production. Meanwhile, circumstances haven't changed. We are not like that. We don't flip-flop like that. We will give reasons why a change of decision.
Okay. So what should consumers at the receiving end do now? I mean, you're telling us there shouldn't have been increment. I mean, there's increment now. What should we do?
What we need to do is to let Ghanaians know that, and the Ghanaians will take a decision to let government know that. Based on the development project that you are denying of our oil revenue of 2 billion Ghana cedis, we don't expect to pay any tariff. We don't expect to pay any tariff because you are denying us revenue of oil, 2 billion Ghana cedis. At the same time, you are increasing the tariff. I don't think that should be something as Ghanaians we should take.
Needs FM.